Welcome back to On the Rise for Canadians of the Week, breaking down the top three Canadian performances of the previous week. We're going to jump straight into number three, which comes from the MLS and from Toronto FC. The 22-year-old Canadian winger and Theo Corbinu, who is my third Canadian of the week, as Theo Corbinu finally scored his first goal in his return to Toronto FC in the offseason, as he scored the lone goal in Toronto FC's 1-0 victory over Real Salt Lake, which helped TFC into their first win of the regular season in a game where they were absolutely dominated against RSL. RSL only having Toronto FC to 2 shots throughout the 90 minutes, and one of them was finished from a very clinical shot from Theo Corbinu, who took his chance very well, finishing it with calm composure on a 0.14 XG chance, truly showing his ability to be able to put the ball in the back of the net when given the opportunity, as Theo Corbinu only had one touch in the opposition box, truly showing the utter domination from Real Salt Lake over Toronto FC in this match. But it improved Toronto FC to give them their first win of the regular season, upping them to 7 points on the season through 9 matches, and it's truly been a terrible start for TFC and their supporters. But there has been those shining lights. DeAndre Kerr had a hot start to the season, as well as Theo Corbinu has had some good games as well as some poor performances, and he finally had that decent spark against RSL and empowered TFC to their first win of the season, as the 22-year-old Canadian winger had one shot throughout the match, scoring his only goal very clinically, going 58 minutes while having 11 for 12 accurate passes. As well, 23 touches, 1 touch inside the opposition box, 2 for 2 successful dribbles. Defensively, doing very well, also having 3 defensive actions, 2 recoveries, along with 1 interception, and winning 4 for 7 ground duels. Needless to say, Theo Corbinu was a huge reason why TFC won this game against RSL, which is very exciting for Theo Corbinu, and hopefully this can spring him on and spring TFC on to a bit of consistency and a bit of better performances throughout the rest of the season for the young 22-year-old Canadian winger. But Theo Corbinu was my third Canadian of the week, and let's move on to number 2, which comes from the other side of the pond, and it comes from Belgium, and Promise David. As Promise David is my second Canadian of the week for Union Saint-Gilloise, as he helped them towards a huge win in their title hopes and title aspirations. Promise David scored 2 goals in their win over Genk, who were top of the table and are no longer, as the 2-1 victory for Union Saint-Gilloise, and 2 goals from Promise David in the 42nd minute, as well as from the penalty spot in the 50th minute, helped Union Saint-Gilloise to tie Genk in second place on 40 points, knocking Genk off that first place position for the Jupiler Pro League and for the Belgian title, which opened it up for Club Brugge to hop ahead of both the sides in first place on 42 points. And it was a huge 2-1 win for Union Saint-Gilloise, because now it only continues to help their title hopes and aspirations, and it's been off the back of a huge season for Promise David, attracting so much attention worldwide throughout football now, and might just get himself in the transfer door. But he's had a great year, and it's all been because of Promise David why their side is fighting for a title, which is extremely exciting and truly remarkable for a striker who moved from Estonia to the Belgian top flight and is helping his side fight for a top division title. But his game was so much more than just scoring 2 goals, as Promise David was the man of the match, having a 9.1 rating on FootMob, a truly incredible performance for the Canadian striker, going 77 minutes, 2 goals on 4 shots, having 8 for 12 accurate passes on a 1.81 XG. But also, he had 2 big chances missed, according to FootMob, as well as 35 touches and 6 in the opposition box. But Promise David didn't just work hard offensively and being clinical and putting the ball in the back of the net, but defensively was incredible, as Promise David as a striker had 12 defensive actions, 2 recoveries, along with 8 clearances, but 7 headed clearances, showing his height, his aerial ability, as well as how good he is at rising and beating opponents to the ball in the air. It was an incredible performance for Promise David, both offensively and defensively, showing his work rate as well as his tireless and great finishing in front of goal, which is why Promise David was my second Canadian of the week. But it's time for my honorable mention, and one that some Canadians probably weren't expecting or forgot about, who left to European football from the Canadian Premier League, and that is Matteo Dienne. As Matteo Dienne had an incredible performance for Gaish's side within Sweden, as they were off to a decent start to the season. But they tied 0-0 against Djurgården, and if I apologize for butchering one of those names, if you could let me know how I did, let me know in the comments down below. But Djurgården are having a great season in European football as well, and Matteo Dienne's side in Gaish had a great performance, tying them 0-0 and playing pretty well as Matteo Dienne, who had a fantastic performance in this match, as he got man of the match at left back, having an 8.2 match rating for the 22-year-old Canadian left back who just moved from the Canadian Premier League at Atletico Ottawa to Gais in Sweden. So it's a huge jump in quality and an impressive performance to have such a good game against a side doing very well within European football. So Matteo Dienne had a Player of the Match award, going 8.2 match rating, and it won the most duels out of any player within the match, winning 11 duels throughout 89 minutes on the pitch, having one shot, 34 for 49 accurate passes, as well. Defensively was incredible. His work rate watching Matteo Dienne play is very exciting. I absolutely love watching him track back, the tireless nature he has, and he doesn't give up. As defensive actions, Matteo Dienne had 17, interceptions 5, along with 8 clearances, 3 for 4 tackles 1, and even 2 headed clearances. It was a brilliant performance defensively from Matteo Dienne, who also won 9 for 12 ground duels, was fouled twice. It was a lights out performance from Matteo Dienne and might just be the answer to Canada's left back problems when Alphonso Davies is injured. If Matteo Dienne can keep up this form, it is extremely exciting since he is only 22, is a very solid option, and what you want in that backup left back or someone who could future start for you is someone who's going to work their socks off, come in, play defensively solid, who could also get up the pitch and be that bombing wing back. And Matteo Dienne is definitely that, and is showing great signs in early days in European football with Gaish. But also, it didn't end there, as my Canadian of the week, my number one Canadian of the week, is another David, but this time it's Jonathan David, as Jonathan David had an incredible performance against AJ Auxerre, as his Los Lille managed to win 3-1, all down to Jonathan David, who managed 2 goals throughout the match and 1 assist, taking part in all 3 goals for Los Lille in their 3-1 victory over AJ Auxerre, as this now moves Los Lille up to 4th place in Liga on 30 games now played in the season, having 53 points. Of course, now they sit 2 points behind second place in Derek Cornelius Marseille, as Marseille are now on 55 points in second, Monaco are in 54 points in third, and you have Los Lille in 4th on 53 points. Second place is up for grabs, and it's between 2 Canadians in Derek Cornelius and Jonathan David. But Jonathan David is powering his side to move towards second in the table behind Paris Saint-Germain. And frankly, this win was simply all down to him, as we had another Canadian man of the match. First, it was the likes of Promise David, Matteo Dienne, and now Jonathan David, as Jonathan David was player of the match, earning a 9.3 rating on FootMob, and was also the most accurate passer with 100% to play more than 45 minutes. As Jonathan David went 90 minutes playing the entirety of the football match, having 2 goals, 1 assist through 5 shots. A truly great performance from Jonathan David, having 28 for 28 accurate passes, creating 2 chances along the way, and having a 1.1 XG. Truly remarkable from the Canadian striker, and the fact Jonathan David continues this elite level of performance is going to be very exciting to see where he lands, as he also had 2 big chances missed, 2 block shots, 44 touches, and 8 touches within the opponent's box. Also, Jonathan David defensively managed 3 defensive actions along with 2 recoveries, and also won 4 out of 10 ground duels and was fouled twice. Needless to say, it was an incredible performance from Jonathan David along with Promise David. And hopefully that'll be the starting pair for the Gold Cup, which is very exciting to see. But for me, the most important performance of the week might have been from Matteo Dienne, but he had to be my honorable mention. It was an exciting performance from the 22-year-old Canadian left back and a major performance against a side pushing for a European title. And it was very exciting to see all the good performances from Canadians, from Promise to Jonathan to Matteo Dienne, and even Toronto FC's Theo Corbinu. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Smash that like button, drop a sub. The support has been absolutely incredible as always, and I truly appreciate it, guys. Trying to build the best Canadian community possible for Canada soccer on YouTube, and I'd love to hear you guys have to say in the comments down below. I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.